want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Feet in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. No pain for their disease. Breathe just like a weed, spread into the streets. It's time to make them bleed. 'Cause we just want retribution. Let's go light up the darkness. Make true of an empty promise. Flip cards in the weak and harmless. Take to the streets and turn them to a mosh pit. 'Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution.
What is going on, fam? Welcome back to another episode. My name is TradeFly, bringing some of the most important market news as well as technical analysis that you can actually use. Man, Bitcoin is on the move. We got some big news out there on the macro. We got some world events going on that is driving the price action. There is no doubt about it. If you say you only do charts, yes, you can trade within those charts. But if you are not taking into consideration that the news moves the price, you are sadly mistaken. We're going to look at that. And of course, we're going to identify some key levels. We are at one right now. We're at an all important level. And we have talked about it here on this show. If you know, you know. But we're going to get to the charts. I'm going to show you exactly where that level is. And we are going to game plan around it, because that is the name of the game here. I'm giving you some shit you can use. Not some bullshit. I'm giving you some stuff you can use. All right? That's the name of the game. I give you the sauce. All right, so stay tuned for that. We're going to go ahead and shout out the peeps in the chat. We got my dude, Crypto Crank. If you guys haven't checked him out, man, he is a scalper and he is doing big things, trading that big Skrilla. My man, he's in here. Thank you for being here, dude. Really, really appreciate the support. We got TNB Willow with the Otta Gang. What up, dude? How you doing? B Team Crypto, my dude. How you doing? What up to you? He's one of the mods. You know what? I owe you something. I'm gonna hit you up in a DM. I owe you something. We got Ghost of Odyssey. How you doing? He said, let's get it. What up to you, bro? And then Scar Jeskel with a GM. Let's go. Now, if you can't tell, My ass was a little bit sick, all right? So my voice is a little bit raspy right now. If I have a coughing attack, I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize now because it just sporadically happens. But let's go ahead and get in to the stuff we got to talk about today. And we got the bubbles. Rave. Dude, it is partying right now. I mean, it is absolutely partying. There it is. There's my soundboard. Whew, 164% to the moon. I really don't know much about it. I gotta be honest with you. Other than that, you can see that VVV, cake, and hype. It's diverging a little bit, right? It's pushing a little bit higher than the rest of things. And then in terms of negative, now we got plus and minuses that are about 3-4%. So nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy at all besides Rave. Rave is out of this freaking world. I don't know what's going on with that. But it is pumping. All right, that altcoin whack-a-mole, you know what I'm saying? There it is. All right, Bitcoin currently sitting at 72,351. That is up 1.69% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum at 2229, up 1.2%. Total market cap at 2.45 trillion. That is up 1.27%. Fear and Greed Index at 46. That is neutral. That is actually down a little bit since the last time we talked. Bitcoin dominance at 59, exactly where we left it. All right, again, one of the things you're going to want to look for here, that Bitcoin dominance, all right? When that starts going down after Bitcoin's made a move and it's broken through a key level that we are going to look at on the charts, I promise you, then you would expect that the altcoins will start making their move. Now, they will move with Bitcoin, don't get me wrong, but understand that people are a little bit on edge right now. Bitcoin likely to make that move, start to consolidate. Once it consolidates above the current range or below the range, that is when likely you're going to see the move. All right, let's go over to the news, all right? Because the news is big. All right, Saudi Arabia fully restored east-west oil pipeline, bypassing the Strait of Hormuz and pumping 7 million barrels per day. All right, that is good news. That's probably why you're seeing the market. And then, of course, the U.S., they're doing the U.S. things. We're going to block your blockade. Trump's a madman, all right? Sometimes I feel like that dude is playing 4D chess with the rest of us. But here nor there, there's a lot going on still in the Middle East that is having an influence on the market. I mean, dude, case in point. When they said, hey, we're having peace talks, what happened? Price go up. When they said, hey, the peace talks broke down, what happened? Price go down. Now, we're getting some more bullish news saying, hey, you know what? We might be able to work around this. Price go up. So you got to watch the news. Like, it's part of it right now, unfortunately. Yes, the charts have a say-so. Yes, I will admit to that, right? Support, resistance, typically good. You start talking about open interest and CVD, all that good stuff, right? Momentum, I get it. But right now, the news is really, really what's driving the market. Now, if you're scalping, different ball game, I get it. But generally, as it's moving, here it comes. Here comes that cough. I'm trying to fight it right now. Generally, that's what you're going to see. All right, next up, we're going to get to the segment that you guys have been missing, that you guys love. It is the Daily Degen. Let's get it going. All right, the Daily Degen. How does this work? You guys choose, all right? Are we going to go long or are we going to go short? So when you see it, you see doom or moon, all right? Or moon or doom, whatever. 11 votes in right now. You guys, right now, your bias is 55% doom. That means you think it's going to go down. And I am going to take this trade. And then I'm going to make shorts about it. And then I'm going to engage on social media saying, look what the chat made me do. And we could either lose or we could win. But I got $75 in trial funds from 2Bit. Thank you, 2Bit. I appreciate you. Remember, you can save 20%, and there is an event going on right now where you can get some money back with your money. Use it, honey. TF save 20. All right, so we're at an area of resistance. You guys, looks like you are 62% now doom. All right, we're taking it. We're taking it, but the thing is, remember, it's got to happen in 45 minutes. It's not like, I know it's a sentiment-based trade. Just understand, it's got to happen in 45 minutes, but we're doing it. Here it is. We got 10x. We're using our trial funds. $75, 10. You know what? Let's bump it up. Let's live a little. Let's live a little. Let's go 20x. See if it lets me do it. Market. Yep. Boom. Trial funds. Poof. They're out there. Here we go. let's see what happens. You guys made me take this trade. I didn't do any technical analysis. It was just the chat. The chat told me to do it. We'll see what happens. No, this is not how I usually trade. All right. Let's go back over the chat real quick. Let's say what's up. I got some homies rolling in here late. We got the Jenny from the blockchain back at it. Let's go. Let's go. My man. How you doing? All right. We got Ashunts. What up, TradeFly and chat? How you doing? Good to see you. Real Wave Cypher. What up, bro? How you doing? Hey, Wave Cypher's over in Alexo's Discord, and he's got his own YouTube. Please go check him out. Support him as well. Like and subscribe, man. He's doing good things. Much love to you, dude. Thank you for being in here. And then we got DB Marauder. Yes, good afternoon, all. Marauder. Yeah. Yep, I've had to say that name a lot. I can't say in what context or why, but I've had to say it. And we got Stefan. It looks like Stefan. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Odigio. See, there's too much going on in there. No separation. I'm just gonna call you Stefan. We got Archbishop in the house. What up to you, man? Good to see you as well. Let's go over and keep this a-flowing. All right. So, liquidation heat map. This is important. Why is it important? There's not much liquidity to the top side right now on the 3-day. All right. We can check some other time frames. Where is the majority of the liquidity? And this makes a lot of sense. It's right now, it's at about 70,400. All right, we had that labeled already. All right, and it makes a lot of, look how hot that is getting. You know, for it to get touched in all the wrong ways would not be surprising. But we're gonna mark that on our charts. And we are also going to make a note that there is not a lot of liquidity above us on the 3-day. Let's go to the 1 month and take a look at that. So we have talked about that. I think I did a quick update on Friday, or I may have talked about it in Alexo's Discord when I went live. But we have taken a lot of liquidity off the table. Liquidity touching you in the wrong places. It is building up a little bit more here at about 73.8. But you can see a lot of liquidity has been taken off the table. Sometimes we just reach up in there and we just dip our toes. We didn't, man. We took, Pac-Man was freaking hungry and he took a lot of this liquidity. What does that mean? So just very basic understanding of that. Well, what it's meaning is there's less incentive to drive the price action in that direction because there's nothing to chase, right? They're not going to liquidate you. They're not going to take your stop losses or get you stopped out. So like what is the incentive at that point for the market maker and for the exchange, right? There's a lot less of it. So that's why I always say, hey, know where the liquidity is or you are the liquidity. Now, one of the things that I was talking about as well, let's actually, we'll go back just real quick because I want to see where the top side of that is. 73.8. Okay, so we're back to that 74 and 74 or 70,004. Okay, so shit hasn't really changed since the last time we updated. Now, what's important and why I say know where liquidity is, because a lot of people, what they'll do right here, they'll look at this rejection, all right, or this pivot, and they're going to say, hey, this is where I'm looking to enter. This is what a lot of baseline traders will do, or they're looking at the value area high, value area low, and they will trade that and not even think twice about anything that's around it. Okay, when I say that, like they will just blindly take it. So if we were to come down, all right, if we were to come down to the value area high, in this case right here, that's this dotted blue line. If we came down here, weekly pivot, I mean, if we come down here again, knowing that you have all that liquidity, you know how freaking hot it is down there. There's no way. There's no way I would be able to take a position off of that, knowing that liquidity is right here. There's no way. All right. Now, does that mean I miss trades? Yes, it does. But I think it's the safer way to get into a trade. That's what my back testing has showed me. That is what my actual testing, like my actual trading has showed me, that you want this liquidity off the table before you execute. All right, that's the more conservative way to get into some of these trades, and why my percentage in terms of hit rate is so much higher than this year specifically than it was last year. All right, because I have nailed this down in terms of like I am being very firm about it. If I'm taking a trade off of this, the value area high, the weekly pivot, then I am taking a lower capital play. So instead of risking, 10,000, then maybe I risk 1,000. Okay, so a very vastly different risk tolerance if I'm going to get into something that hasn't met all the wickets. So for me, big capital, I wanted to come down. I'm not saying it's going to come down here right now. I'm just telling you, all right, this is how I operate, and I'm trying to teach you how I operate. If it were to come down here, I wanted to take 70,400 off the table. I want that liquidity off of the table. I want it gone, right? Because what a lot of people will do Let me get back to kind of how I started this. What a lot of people will do is they'll blindly take this and then they'll put their stop loss right here. What have they done in this case? If it comes back down, what have they done if they put their stop loss below the value area high in this specific case? They have joined the party. They have jumped in the liquidity pool and they have added their stop loss right to where the liquidity is. What does the maker want? What do they want? They want that. They want to stop you out, right? That's the name of the game for exchanges to make money. They want to stop you out or liquidate your ass. That's the name of the game. They will take loans out to make sure that happens. You need to understand the game of how it's being played. That's why I'm so big on that, all right? So enough about liquidity. Let's go head out. Let's look at what we got going on. We are in the same range we have been in. Again, I think what, early February? Okay, we have been in this. Good news. Good news is there is big events going on in the world. And what have we done for Bitcoin? We've actually, I think, gone up a little bit. So it has held up remarkably well with, I don't want to compare different events in the world. I don't want to compare different events, but let's say that this is a big event. All right, what's going on right now, especially the impacts that it can have on the rest of the world in terms of oil consumption and things of that nature, right? It can have large impacts on inflation. I mean, there's a number of factors. But what has held up? Bitcoin has held up. It is holding up through, a turbulent time. So if we are to come to a conclusion anytime soon, my expectation fully is to get out of this range. And when I say get out of it, I mean to the top side of it. If things were to calm down. Now, one of the things that you'll have to be careful of is that there could be a lagging effect of what's happening right now for a lot of places. US, I think, has all, kind of like other plans, right? They got a plan B and a C in terms of how they're going to do this with oil and things of that nature. But there could be a lagging effect that then drags the market back down, just like you did when you had COVID. So when you had COVID, like you had that big dip, right? But you also had this lagging effect that drug us through the bear market, right? And that's one of those things that could happen. But I fully expect if things calm down, we push out of this range finally, and we actually push to the upside if we get the news, that things are coming to a conclusion. Now that's not on the table right now. If you guys are watching the news, that is not on the table right now. It's still, understand that when they have negotiations, that usually there's multiple negotiations. It's not just one. You don't just go one time and be like, oh, we did it. We came to an agreement. Yay, everybody. It doesn't usually work that way. You usually have multiple. Talks will fail because there's demands on each side, and some they're just not willing to budge initially. All right, too much about that politics stuff. Let's get back to why you're here. So, to the top side, what I want you to pay attention to, right? We have this high of the range, right? This basically a liquidity grab, came all the way back down, but you have the high of the range, but you also have TradeFly's new indicator, is the quarterly pivot. Quarterly pivot. Sitting at about 75,395 or so. All right, we'll call 75.4 for government work. You also have the 0.786. All right, where is that derived from? That's from here to here. All right, that's where you're deriving that particular Fibonacci retracement level from. Now, you have the 0.786, you have the quarterly pivot, and you have the top of a horizontal level at about 74K to 75 and some change. What else would that do? Well, we know that there's going to be some liquidity here, but we've already seen on the heat map that a lot of liquidity has been taken off the table. A lot less incentive in my eyes in terms of continuing to drive that up. But here or there, it could happen. But you have to keep in your mind that you're running straight in to an area of resistance, knowing that you have confluence between three different things: horizontal level, 0.786, and the quarterly pivot, sitting all there between 74 to about 79.4. All right. So what did I say? 75.4 to 74. Let's call 74 to 75.4. All right. So little range there, but it's obviously going to be resistance. So what would my thought process be here? My thought process is the first thing you think about is a short, because if it ain't broke, you don't fix it, right? We reject it, liquidity grab after liquidity grab. I would not be shocked to see a push up, a wick down, and then back into the range, and back down we go to where? Then I'm looking at where's the volume. So let's slide it to the left. One hop this time, right? Slide it to the left. You get the value area high, you have volume, and you have the current week pivot, which will probably ultimately develop into the previous week pivot. All right. So by the time that plays out, I'm anticipating that this is the previous week pivot, but you have volume, the value area high. All right. This could shift a little, but I mean, that is quite a bit of confluence in terms of where a reasonable expectation of price action would be. So let's say we develop a game plan around that. Let's do that. Now it's all going to be based on the wick, on whether you can get a 2-to-1. This is all really important. Yes, a 2-to-1 is in play with about a 5% move. Okay, these are all conservative. I'm giving you time to get into the trade. Your stop loss will be adjusted based on the wick. You'll see how that influences your risk to reward. But let's just keep it right there for now. That'll get you your fees in there. All right, that's always important to take that into consideration. So that'll get your fees in there. That's my first thought. Okay, what needs to line up? Now, this is important because people come back to the show, they watch the show, they put a comment on there, and they're like, hey, bro, yeah, good call, dude, yeah. Like, your short really played out. Bro, there's so much more to look at. Come over to the Discord, get smart on what there is to look at here. It's not blindly put a limit order in. All right, understand there's more to it. So when I'm saying it comes up to this level, what am I looking for? I want to see a wick, right? Indicates that there's selling pressure, right? It should look a lot like this. See this one right here? Right there. You want to see that. What is your indication that you should not take it? You guys have heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it every damn time now because one dude wants to come on here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But you see this right here? This candle, if you see that, do not take the trade. It's invalidated. Why? Because that would be an impulse move through the zone. You're more likely to break out, retest, continuation. It is roughly that simple, I'd say most of the time. Most of the time, it really is that simple. Big body candle, no go. No gozies. Wick, let's start looking at some shit. All right, so sorry for my curse words. This usually is a PG show, but not today. Not today. I'm just gonna be me. I'm gonna do my own damn thing. And y'all are gonna get the real TradeFly. I'm tired of being all professional. All right, so wick up. Cool, we got the wick. We're coming back down. We got some selling pressure coming in. Then what? Then I recommend you take your butt over to Market Monkey Terminal. Go into the description. This is free. So you understand, this is free. All right, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Free. What are you going to look for? You want to look at a couple things. One, do you have passive orders on the books? All right, what is that? How's that indicated? Well, here you go. Glad you asked. Right here. See how there was passive orders on the books and it got filled? And then look at that crazy wick. Right there, passive orders got filled. So you're going to be looking for something like that. All right. What is this? This is a liquidation heat map, just a different version. Now you can see this latest rejection, okay, that you had liquidation events pretty much happening all the way up right here. Now, when this actually came in, I don't know, because I wasn't looking at this before this price action went up. I don't know if it joined the party late or if it was there the whole time or if it got defended, because that happens. If you have a large liquidation level, it could get defended, right? They don't want to get liquidated. So big money can come in and be like, no, 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 no. You're not going to liquidate me, right? So understand that that's very, very possible. Then, all right, so you've looked at passive orders on the books. You've looked at your liquidation heat map. The next thing you want to do, and this is the trigger. You guys are going to hear me talk about this. This is the trigger. You're going to go to a lower time frame. I say 15 minute or below. All right, you can set that up here. Now you have to, if you got multiple charts up, you got to come up here and you have to select 15 minute. So do that. Then you got to click this one. A little bit janky, but here nor there, it works. This is the trigger. Then you're going to look at open interest in CVD. All right, I'm keeping it very layman on this channel, but open interest, that means people are joining the party, contracts be open, or, there's more positions being open, okay? That's just giving you an indication. Is there some being open or are they being closed? And where you're at, you have to understand the trend with open interest. If you do not understand the trend, you're wasting your time. Because if the price action is trending up and then open interest starts dumping on you, what does that mean? Likely that when they hit that area of resistance that you've already identified, that they're exiting the positions and they're taking profit. Or it could happen where you're not expecting it because there are passive orders and liquidations. There's nothing there to chase anymore. There's things that can happen in between all of it, but you have to understand the trend and what's happening before you can even articulate what open interest is telling you. So initially what you will likely see, and this is probably where you're more likely to jump into it, there's an A plus and there is a B plus. All right, the B plus is where I would say 70% of my trades live. The B plus is seeing that rejection. All right, you get the wick, passive orders are getting filled, open interest starts to dump, and CVD starts to dump. So open interest down, CVD down. In this case, because we're talking about a rejection, we're talking about a short. So you'll see open interest and CVD dump in correlation with the price action. You'll see a parallel. A plus is when it gives you time. So you sit up at that area of resistance, you see absorption, which you'll see open interest and go horizontal. You may see CVD go horizontal, but then you may see a divergence, or you see CVD going down and you see open interest going up. That's telling you that people are joining the party with you. Now, a lot of times once that happens, the move has already started. I won't say you're too late to join the party, but the move likely has already started. Sometimes you get lucky though. Sometimes you'll see a divergence where price action is going up, CVD is already starting to go down as you approach that area of resistance, and then open interest is already going horizontal, and then they join the party. Like sometimes that lines up, and when it lines up, it's a beaut. All right, there's a pretty high hit rate on that. All right, let's go over the chat real quick. We got Bits of Wealth in here. What up, dude? Good to see you, my dude. And we got to catch up, man. I feel like we haven't been on a stream or a space in a while. Hope all is well with you, dude. Andrea, how you doing? Sit back and let it play out. No trade zone here. I mean, so for you as a scalper, Crank, yeah, no trade zone for you. But as an intraday type trader, or as someone that may be looking for a swing trade, this zone has been just hitting, right? And we've seen the same thing for, let's say, Solana back before we had this big pullback. 121 for Solana was just like bam, 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 bam. Dude, it was a moneymaker for me. Like, but it's intraday, So like, we're looking for these key levels that for me, like I'm a 9-to-5 guy, right? So I got to still mine fiat, do all that bullshit, support the fam, I haven't gone full time. I haven't gone full time to do this yet. So for me, I got to find these key levels. I got to get out ahead of it. And then I got to work around that, unfortunately. And so when I find these key levels that are just printing, just keep hitting, I'm gonna keep hitting. Like I said, I'm gonna till it breaks. I ain't trying to fix it. I'm just gonna try to keep making money off of it. So 72 to 74K. I've been screaming about this level literally before we even came down under it. All right, now I think the 72 may have populated from some of the ranging that's been happening, but I this level in particular, this area, we were actually talking about this level before it got to this level, right? And then when we got that big move through the zone, we were like, game on, game on. And then here we go, boom, hit, boom, hit, boom, hit, boom, hit. I mean, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, how many times how many times are we going to hit? I don't know. But again, if it ain't broke, I ain't trying to fix it. So, if we hit 4 times and one of these times we finally get, say we get stopped out, then that's okay. Because what are we getting? We get an opportunity for a potential breakout retest, and then that's the opportunity that we can flip a bias. So let's talk about that. All right. So we've talked about this. Let's download the image here so I can drop that. Hey boys, too, hit me up on X or Discord if you want. I got this. It's a multi-time frame pivot. So I like it. So this is what I've been looking for, straight up. I've been looking for this. Let me hide this real quick. So I'm gonna keep that. There we go. I've been looking for this exactly, right? I want yearly, quarterly, weekly, monthly, and then I talked to CVO because he uses the pivots. He's the one that got me on it. But then he was like, "Hey, add price and add if it gets tapped." So boom, boom. That's what I did. But hit me up and I'll add you guys to the list so you can check it out. But it's pretty dope, man. You'll see a lot of times you'll get confluence and you'll get some price action. But all right, let's get back to talking about what we're talking about here. You got this range, right? And so, okay, like we finally break out of the range. Well, then we can start looking for some potential upside or developing a range to the top side of where we're at, right? Because you can see right here, look. All right, you get a range, you break out, you develop another range. The hopes, what we would like to see, not saying this is what's gonna happen, what we like to see is we get out of this range and we break to the top side and we develop a range above where we're at currently. That would be ideal. And then we can look for a breakout retest, continuation up, and then hopefully we can stay in the range there. But the retest is where we start taking a long bias, right? Because our trend has changed. All right, so we start developing more of a long bias. Cool. Why do you kind of trade a bias, right? In my case, why do I have a bias? I try to follow the overall trend, right? Right now, trend short. Why? Because if we get this PO3 concept, Geo talks about those a lot. If you get a PO3 concept where you have accumulation into manipulation and then distribution, you can follow that, right? You can have a runner. And so that's one of the big reasons that I like to trade with a bias. Now that we're kind of range bound here, it's you can play the range obviously, but my bias right now is still shorts. But you can get a runner, and that's one of the big reasons why. Canadian. I am not Canadian. I am not. I am good US of A. Maryland, bro. I was born in Maryland, raised on the East Coast. DC area is really where I grew up. I'm out in Cali now, though. Cali, SoCal. About 45 minutes north of LA. Let's see here. MMT or Kayotaka? What's your favorite? I like them both, man. I mean, MMT seems to work a little bit better for me, but Kayotaka is more visually appealing. For people that are newer, it's probably easier to digest, to be honest with you. Kayotaka, I say, is a little more user-friendly. It's definitely better on your phone. So if you're doing anything from your phone or mobile, I go to Kayotaka. Anything that I'm on a computer and I'm sitting down, MMT, so they're giving you so much free now. Like the reason one of the things I didn't like is they didn't have the 1 minute. They're giving you everything now. Like I can have multiple charts up. I mean, dude, they used to be like 3 or 4. Now I've got like 5 or 6. It's crazy. And it's all free. So they're just giving stuff away. I don't even know how they're making money, to be honest with you. Anyways. Yeah, not Canadian. Not Canadian. I'm at the edge of my seat for the answer. We need to know. What did I miss something? What did I miss? I don't know. All right. I told you, Crank. You guys got a side bet going on in the background? Y'all got a side bet in the background. That's cool. All right. So let's get back to where we were before my ADD kicked in. So what is realistic in terms of price action? Up, see the top right here? that little range before we actually fell, that would be a very reasonable area to see price action reject to come back for the retest. What else do you have? See this right here? You have volume. Okay, so you have two things that are aligning in that area. Very clear path right there, not a whole lot of volume. But right here, you see how that's pointing out? See how it sticks out? That right there tells you that there's volume. I can't tell you how many times you'll see price action push up right to those areas, those high volume areas. And if there's confluence where we've seen a rejection or support or whatever the case may be that's close to that volume, you see a rejection. So that would be, in my mind, the expectation. Now understand too, the logic for me is I got to get ahead of price action. I don't have a lot of time to sit there and wait for it. So I'm going to be looking for this right here. That right there. If you get that breakout, retest, all right, so we're coming down to a key level, all right, what was resistance, we're going to test that as support, and then what am I going to do? I'm going to come back over here. If I see a continuation in open interest in CVD where they're aligning with me, saying, hey, positions are still being open, retail jumping in, we're going to be driving this price up a little bit more. You see CVD going up, right? That means longs are aggressive. I'm cool. I'm probably going to take that. Now, again, you want to see a little bit of a wick, right? Impulse move back through. A lot of times, you know, that's why you wait for the retest, right? Because you get that big impulse move back through. Let me see if I can find an example. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see if we can find a good example. Right. Okay. It did hold up on this one, so that's probably not a great one. There you go. Here you go. All right, so let's work around the value area high. So if you get this where it's like, hey, it came down, it was trying, but you still see that descending level of resistance, boom. All right, you get a big candle down. All right, this one would be preferable to see through the zone, kind of like this, and impulse move through to the top side. But hey, here nor there, we're on the 5 hour. We're not gonna make it work for what we're trying to explain here. Candles, remember, they're time-based. They got to end at some time, and they got to start at some time. They can't all be perfectly crossing over the line exactly when you want. All right, 2 hours into the candle, so it looks perfectly like this. But you can see strong move down. All right, continuation with that. So that's what I'm talking about there in terms of seeing that move down through the zone. All right, that's what's going to give you some pause. So you come up here, you're looking at that, you get an impulse move through, big body candle that kind of pushes back through. Again, nosy gozies. All right, nosy gozies. So I will be looking for this breakout, retest, continuation if we break through that zone. That's how you can look at one place and play it two different ways. And it's perfectly reasonable, rational, and like there's not saying, hey, you're going, hey, you could go long, you could go short. Yeah, but I'm looking for different things in that area. This is a key level. It's a key level. It's the top of the range. So it is a very key area. And you are likely to see, like, if it's going to break through, you'll probably see a rejection off of it and then an impulse move through. That's the likelihood. Rejection gives you one more play off of that area, would be my guess. Impulse move, big ass candle that pushes through the zone, goes to the top, and then rejects from the levels that we're talking about here with the volume, as well as the top of this range, come back down, retest. That, for me, is where I would be looking to trade. Now, let's talk more about it, right? This is education time. If you start working your way up here and you're just getting this little, you know, just little pushes through, little candles above, it's not really breaking through with any kind of authority, then no, you're not looking for retest with continuation. Like, for me, conservatively, like, I want to see it break through with a little bit of authority, right? That's why I want to see that impulse move through. That's what opens up the trade. If it doesn't, if we're just fiddle-faddling around in here, don't even know if that's a word. If we're just, you know, just little stuff going on, I'm not really interested, to be honest with you. I'll wait till the range develops. If it's a slow climb up, that's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. I'm not taking it. I'm just going to wait till the range develops. That's just the way that I would look at it personally. All right, so key level, we've talked all about it. We're all over it. Got it. Talk about some downside stuff. Not saying, hey, that's where we're headed right now, but understand that like it's very much in play. Where's a key level that I would be looking at right now? There's two areas to the downside that we're going to look at and we're going to think about here. One, see this box? This box indicates where we have liquidity. All right, so in terms of, hey, we came down, all right, we bounced up, this comes down, what happens? From the wick here to right here, there's liquidity left on the table. We know that's there. So I don't know that it's going to happen in the next couple of days, whatever, no big deal. But knowing that we have liquidity here, all right, if we come back down to this zone and we clear out that liquidity and then we start reestablishing above these wicks right here, and that's at about 62,677, then we can start thinking about a move back up. And for me, the way I would attack that and start thinking about it is only a move back up, probably to the value area low. I may not even go that far. I may only go to the wicks right here. But that's the way I would start looking at that. All right, so you come down, take liquidity, cool, reestablish above your liquidation zone. All right, and then you're looking for that move back up, most likely to the value area low. I wouldn't even push it to the POC, even though a lot of times you will see it go to the POC. You see volume creeping in here. You got value area low. That move alone from just that liquidity level is about 5%. If you use 3x leverage, 15% is a good trade, is a really good trade. All right, so that's something that I'd be looking at here. And again, I'm not saying that's on the table, because I think if you do push down through these levels, you're likely going to get a bounce right off. I think where the value area low POC, there's not a big spread there. What are you at? About 66.8, 66. You got about $800 spread there. It's nothing crazy, and you have a boatload of volume there. So if you're looking at the peak, if you're looking at all this, the VRVP, all right, you're looking at the peak of what we're looking at in this range. That is where most of the volume sits. That is where the most volume sits at, right? At that POC. So very reasonable expectation that you come down to the POC, get a little bounce off that area. And then it's a matter of where you're going to get out. And I think a reasonable area to look at is probably the monthly pivot. So if you're looking at POC to the monthly pivot, that's about a 3.89%. Protect yourself there. That gives you a 2-to-1. All right, so you have the value area low, and you have a nice area to look for in terms of a target level. You do have some volume to work through here. What if we bring this down just a little bit? Pretty close to a 2-to-1, so that's going to have a lot to do with that wick. A lot to do with the wick, but your initial going in rate is to protect yourself, knowing that you have the value area low right below you. Now, a couple things you're going to be looking for in this scenario, right? Let's say that you come down. Some things you're going to be looking for is, where's your liquidity at, right? Understanding that we know we do have liquidity down here, all right? But if that's really popping, if you're seeing that on the charts, or if you're seeing that on the heat map in terms of Market Monkey Terminal, if you're seeing it over here in terms of, hey, maybe there's no passive orders sitting on the books, or CoinInc, wherever you want to use, and you see liquidity is right below there, maybe you think twice about that. All right, so that's one of those ones I'm not going to say is a high conviction area for me to be realsies, but there's a lot of different ways and a lot of different plans you can have. Right now, sitting in the golden pocket, let's see, you got the daily DJing going. Let's see, I think you guys went short. You're down one, pretty much where you left it. Come on. What do you got? You guys are short, yeah, 20x. Let's go. All right. Daily DJing, man, just having fun with that. We thought you were a Canuck. Bro, nah, man. Nah, not me. I just hang out with Canadians. My man, Alex O. That's my dude. Actually came out to visit me. Wow, dude. We went out and played Torrey Pines. That was sick. That was a lot of fun, man. All right, 12, 13. Let's see what we got here. Let's look at USDT dominance. Crank, I've seen you've been using this a lot lately. Let's see. Let's get rid of that. There was a rejection off of there, huh? Look at that. All right, let's update the fixed range volume profile. Really still in a range for USDT dominance, kind of like Bitcoin, right? Just inverse. So that would align. 0.786. Let me go back to Bitcoin real quick. 0.786. Look at that shit. So that's definitely a level I'd be keeping an eye on. Definitely. So about 7.4 for USDT dominance. All right, that's a 0.786. In terms of Fibonacci retracement levels, coming back left, you can see where you have some horizontal, right? Right here, resistance, support, support. So you have an opportunity. I'm not too worried about the, in this case, I'm not using the pivots for USDT dominance, but the 0.786 to see a bounce, right? So how can you use this? How do you tie it in? That's kind of the important part. Understand the inverse correlation. If you see Bitcoin push up to the 0.786, right? You see it push up to the 0.786, and you also see USDT dominance push down to the 0.786. You have confluence between the charts. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but it does add to the bias. It's another little piece of information that you can take in to account and be like, hey, reasonable expectation is you see a bounce from the 0.786 for USDT dominance. Understand the inverse relationship of Bitcoin might reject from the 0.786. So something for you to keep an eye on. We get all set in the house. What up? How you doing? Hope all is well with you. Thank you for being here. As always. Always in the house. Always in the house. Hey, if you guys don't mind, get the likes and subscribes in, please. I would appreciate that. We are trying to grow. Let's see what we got real quick. I'm gonna see how many people. We probably got less people on because I'm rambling. 33. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Like, sub, share it out. I would appreciate that. That would help me very, very much. All right. Let's look at Ethereum real quick. So Ethereum already pushing up towards the 0.786 in terms of its fib level. Let's get rid of that. Let's update the... All right, man, it's a little bit cleaner looking, honestly. A little bit more defined. Look at the POC. How it is just right on the volume. I would definitely keep an eye on that. So that's an area that I would say mark on your charts. That area for Ethereum, 2,000, we'll call it 70. $2,070 for Ethereum. I would say mark on your chart. Why? You can already see it's a horizontal level, clear as day in terms of the price action. Don't worry about that fib level because that is inverse. But you have volume, you have the POC. And I mean, when I say volume, you have the volume right there. A very, very reasonable expectation. If you lose the value area high, and again, this is not me projecting or saying that's what's going to happen, but I'm trying to find areas where you have an opportunity to take a trade. And that's what you have to do. You have to get ahead of it. All right, so let's see. Volume there. Got it. Protect ourselves with a stop loss. Where's kind of the max there for us in terms? So, yeah. Is a trade there? Yeah, hell yeah. So 3.579%. Again, you can use 3x leverage if you want. Up to you on using leverage. I don't always recommend it if you're newer, but for me, I would say 3 is kind of the baseline. You know, 5 I'm feeling froggy, and 20 if I really want to have some fun, right? So that's a nice little level there at about 2070 or so. But I would expect a bounce if price action were to come back down here. And so you see something like that come back up, and then that is where we would exit. Why am I front running the value area high? Well, because there's volume right there. You see how this gap here? All right, so I'm front running a little bit. I see volume there. I don't want it to, you know, start having a rejection, you know, before we even get, right? Sometimes you got to be flexible. Sometimes you want to be a little conservative. So that's where I would probably look to exit that one. If price action does come down, that is definitely a level that I am going to Mark on the chart here. Let's get rid of that. I'm gonna save this one. I do like this. Actually, let me slide it over just a little bit. Cool. Download that one. Got it. Maybe a while before it gets there, but just if you mark it on your chart, set an alert, you won't be surprised. All right. Man, look at the gap for Ethereum, though. I mean, it did have a range here, but look at this. That's crazy. If you take that previous price action out, look at the gap. What does that mean? Like, why is that important? Why is that a consideration? Well, that means you can get an aggressive move through that zone. If there's not a lot of volume in there, you can get a very aggressive move all the way back up to the bottom of this range here. You could. What's the measurement on that? Just from the top of the range? 20%? Ain't nobody gonna be mad about that. Nobody. Let's look at this macro fib here. So Ethereum from bear market low. Is that bear market low? No, it's a 25. 25 low. All right. So 25 low to the high. Right down to the platinum pocket, man. That's one thing you have to pay attention to. That platinum pocket on the macro, it plays out a lot. If you look at Bitcoin on the 4-year cycle, I challenge you to do this. I ain't gonna do the hard work for you, but I got it on my charts. Like, well, I got it saved. I challenge you to do this. Take the 4-year cycle, find out when it started, when it ended, put a Fibonacci retracement level on it, and only put the platinum pocket. I call the platinum pocket. It's from Piper. I got it from Piper. So 0.786 to the 0.887. 4-year cycle. Put that on your Bitcoin chart and watch the magic. Watch the magic. All right, yeah, so we got a good level for Ethereum. Range high right now, about 2,400. Keep an eye on that. I would definitely keep an eye on that, because if you're going to break out for Bitcoin, Ethereum might pop. You might get a really nice pop. And you start looking at maybe TPs, you know, along the way. But, I mean, it is a reasonable thought to say that Ethereum could move all the way back up to where this volume is, bottom of this range. I mean, we'll front run it a little bit, but I mean, you're talking about 27 to 2,800. Just all depends if you take this into consideration or not. Even from, let's say, here to here, 25. Where's that align? Previous POC of that range. That makes sense, right? Because you're talking about volume anyways when you're talking about the POC. So to see more volume in that area. But what's that? What's that from the top of the range to there? 5%. That's still not bad. Again, few X leverage. You got a 15% move. Not against it. Not against it. Let's look at the NASDAQ real quick. Man, what a recovery for the NASDAQ. Dude, we've been scoping this level down here for months. Look where it came down to. Pretty damn close to the 0.382 bullish continuation, right? What a bounce. That's wild. I was thinking about it, man. If it would have came down this green box, I already told you I was taking it. And I was taking it on leverage. But it did not. Doesn't always work out the way you want. Dude, it is rolling. So NASDAQ looking pretty good. If you see man, it broke the trend too. Because you see a pretty clear level descending resistance right there. And it just broke right through that, no problem. Anyways, I'm still going to keep that marked for the NASDAQ. That's line at about 20,000 to about 20,000. 20,300. Guess you could take it up to 5.382, but I'm still going to keep that out there for the NASDAQ. If we do come back down there, I still expect to see a bounce at a minimum. Let's look at Apple real quick. No big updates there. They come to the 0.382, got a nice little bounce, but really in the middle of this channel. We've talked about this channel quite a few times, and that goes way, way back. Way back. It's been in that for years. This channel right here. Pretty important. I'd say put it on your charts. Like it's holding up. There's no doubt about it. Apple's still looking all right though, sitting over the 0.382, right over the range demand, volume, all that good stuff. But if we come down here, so this is my thing for Apple. If we come down to where this green box is, where this volume is, about 230, maybe a little bit lower, 225. I think 230 would be good enough for me. Bottom of the range that, I mean, this channel, dude, we have not really lost the channel. It tried right here when a lot of craziness was going on with the tariff fiascos, right? The tariff fiascos drug a lot of things down. But if you were to come back down and work back down to the bottom of that channel, that could be an opportunity for Apple. And that's at about, anywhere between 220 and 230. Very simple, TA. Just following the channel, following the trend. The trend is your friend until the end, baby. About to wrap this up. Let's look at gold.
I love gold.
All right, looking at gold. Does look like it's starting to kind of fizzle out here. So you can see Fibonacci retracement level. Let's actually take it from this high to this low. Oh man, so now I still got the 0.786 because I was drawing that earlier. That's all right. Add it back, easy peasy. .5 needs to be a different color. All right, cool. So, all right, so rejection from the 0.5. I mean, right here is kind of, I'd say, an important little area for gold right now. Only because you can see the trend that's developing. A series of lower highs. Break a structure. Not really. No follow through with that. Yeah, it's getting a little bit more volatile. All right, this was a pretty steady climb up. Retail, FOMOing in, jumping on the train, big push up, dump it on your face. And then you probably start that trickle down. People start holding. Saying it'll go back up. And just go lower and lower and lower. And what happens? You sell it back. You take a loss. And then what happens after that? Once you sell it back and take a loss, it goes up again. Cycles, my friend. Cycles. All right, a few minutes left. We'll look at Cardano real quick because it looks like poopy. Duty booty. Eesh. Man, that does... I mean, at least it looks like it's trying to hold a bottom. But damn. Rejected right off the POC and the volume right here. When was that? On the 7th, 8th? So about a week ago. That's tough. Yeah, it's hard for me to... I mean, it looks like it's trying to hold a bottom at least. There's that. But I would say for me personally, yes, I have Cardano. I'm holding Cardano right now. It's not a great experience. But if you're trying to trade it, I wouldn't be trying to trade it until you get over at least 26 cents. Over 26 cents. And when I say that, I'm talking about intraday and longer, not scalping. If you're looking for an intraday, I couldn't in good conscience tell you do anything until it gets over 26, really 26 and a half. Okay, so that's what I would be looking at this right here. All right, you got the volume. You got the POC of the range, right? And I'm not incorporating this. Why? Because it looks like it has established a new range below, a little bit lower than this one right here. This looks different. So that's why I'm keeping that there. So POC, then you got the volume right there. You can already see a rejection. I think we talked about this last time. I think I remember talking about almost this exact same thing. But then once you get up here, then you can start hoping that it pushes up again. So that's what I would be looking for Cardano. Wouldn't be interested in taking any kind of trades on it from a personal perspective, or at least long in this thing, not till it gets over 26 cents. All right, I think it's about time to wrap it up. Gang in the house. What up, man? Good to see you. It's about that time. After an hour, mentally exhausted, I'll tell you what. I don't know how y'all do a 2-hour stream. Y'all are crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys got anything from the day, obviously, if you're tuning in late, go back, rewatch. I definitely dropped a lot of good info, a lot of good thought process, a lot of sauce, as we say, into getting into these trades and actually executing these trades. Oh, you know what? Hold on. We can't go yet. Oh man. Well, this isn't what I wanted to see, guys. The darn. We gotta go to the daily DGen. Look at that. At the last second, of course. You know, we didn't set a stop loss either. That's a bust. All right. It is down a whopping $13. Daily DGen, big L, homies. Big L for the daily DGen. It is down. Sorry, it is down $13. We're gonna go ahead and close that out. Close it all. We'll try again on the next one. It is gone. Daily DGen. Poof. But that's how I roll. All right, I'll let you guys, the audience, vote on whether we go long or short. And that's how we roll there. So, that being said, now I'm for reals getting out of here. That's how I'm getting out of here. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay blessed. Thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Again, like, subscribe, do that. Help me out. Save some money on 2bit. TF save 20. You can save some money, honey. All right. 20% off your trading fees. You guys don't want to see that anymore. 20% off your trading fees is substantial. All right. So you guys have a great one. I'm out of here. As always, much love to you guys. Trade safe. Be safe. I'm out.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They're deceived with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never
answer to no, man, I still go, 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 go.